9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Competition Plus Power Hour is live right now. Hey, next to me here on the screen, assistant editor for CompetitionPlus.com, Mr. Darren Williams Jr., all the way from Southern California.
Yes, sir. Los Angeles, California. And right next to me, my man, James Lee Craft. How's it going, man? The Monday Morning Racer. Another episode of the Competition Plus Power Hour. Let's do it.
Hey, episode 129. We keep rolling. I'm coming live from the Rose, capital of the world, Tyler, Texas. Yes, if you ever get an opportunity to stop in Tyler, they have the Rose Garden of America. Literally, stop and smell the roses in Tyler. If you got a special lady friend, well, snip or buy and get her a Tyler rose. Something special.
Hey, so I actually have family that's from Tyler, Texas.
Well, cool. I got family here. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's cool. That's why I call you my brother from another mother. That's why.
That's right. We're all related. Especially if we're in the drag racing family, for sure. And speaking of drag racing, especially on the NHRA side of things, granted, drag racing was happening all over the country. In even ADRL was actually had a race, and Southeast Gassers Association had a race this past weekend, one that they had to move to North Wilkesboro Dragway. I do want to give a shout out Art Copeland and Get Better. He had a nasty accident in his beautiful Kryptonite gasser, rolled, tumbled, kind of got on the wall. It was nasty there at North Wilkesboro Dragway, but he is on the mend. So I want to give that shout out, Art, and Get Better, and to the whole Sega family. Keep moving forward. But NHRA drag racing, I definitely think, Darren, whether it was obviously most people watching, they're going to be thinking about Route 66 Nationals, but there was also NHRA drag racing in Central Texas.
Yeah, it was. And obviously you were out there at the Texas Motorplex, for the Lone Star Nationals. Kind of fill us in on how they kind of went this past weekend.
Yes, it was a double divisional and regional event in NHRA Division 4 South Central land. Fascinating to see a double divisional in person. I had never experienced a double divisional in person. I've been to regionals, I've been to divisionals, but you're cramming two races on one weekend. So, Thursday qualifying, race Friday, qualify Saturday, race Sunday for classes such as Top Sportsman and Top Dragster, Super Stock, Super Gas, Competition Eliminator. And for CompetitionPlus.com, working and doing some filming in particular with Competition Eliminator, and that great work that Roger Brogdon has put in for that class, and the bonus money. I mean, like $350,000 on the lines when, overall, and when they go to the U.S. Nationals. I mean, this ton of money for these competitors. But it was great to see that class in person. And I will say that if you are the average fan, you are probably not going to like Competition Eliminator because you're so lazy. You're just not going to take the time to understand what is actually happening and going on. But if you are truly a drag racing fan and you love it across the board and the spectrums and the diversity that is drag racing, Competition Eliminator provides everything, honestly, Darren. For example, congratulations to Mike DePalma. He won the race. Well, he won it on Saturday morning. They had to wrap it up from Friday due to some rain, but he was in his Cobalt. Looks like something like you'd run in Superstock, for example. But you go Sunday night, and it is Brad Plord in a double A altered on methanol that looks like something he should be match racing at, Nitro Chaos or something, and he wins Competition Eliminator. And then you've got cars like Roger Brogdon, which in essence is a pro stock car with carburetors, and I believe he's got a 3-speed in it. So you have a huge range. One gentleman, Darren, even had a Ford Probe, and I know on this show I mentioned Ford Probe. Everybody's familiar with that. You're going to think Bob Glidden Pro Stock car. No, this did not look anything like a Pro Stock car. It looked like a Pro Street Probe out there running competition eliminator. But you got the Bantam Altereds, you've got 4 to 6 cylinder dragsters and dragsters that could be in top dragster. Fascinating and truly unique class. It was great to see it play out and how they compete. And it's something that I, from now on, look forward to watching. And you all can hear the Competition Eliminator story and the racer stories right here on competitionplus.com and the YouTube channel and the web page with articles and pertinent information. So on the sportsman side, spectacular racing. But there also was those Alky cars there, Darren.
Yeah, and so from the looks of it, Julie Natus, I know she's your favorite top alcohol dragster driver for many reasons. She went out and won and actually extended her points lead as well. I mean, that's pretty cool. And so I guess it's time for yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I guess it's time for Tony Stewart, who's second in national points, to respond soon. So, but great win for Julie Natus. Went up against Jackie Frick in the final, correct?
Jackie Frick in the final. And, look, Jackie Frick, Julie Natus, they are definitely aiming for a national championship. Tony, if anyone's watched my interview with him after he won the Indy Regional, he's not really counting points. He's like, hey, I'm learning how to be a drag racer. I'm just out here going one pass at a time. But Rich McPhillips, like the head guy, and then you've got, Rich McPhillips Jr., they are counting points. So Tony's right in the thick of it. Yes, Julie did extend the lead. I think I counted today. It's well over 40 points now. Going in, it was 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
The battle there in top alcohol dragster is one that you all in drag racing need to keep your eye on, because you've got some fascinating personalities, such as a motorsports legend in Tony Stewart coming in and running extremely well with the McPhillips team, who definitely know how to win. And then you've got someone like Julie Natus, this young lady that definitely wants to move forward in her career. I think she wants to do it, though, winning a national championship, because it's the only thing she hasn't done in top alcohol dragster. She's won. She's got 2 regional titles. She wants to win and kind of move on. I certainly believe that's the case. And then you've got, people that are tried and true alcohol runners like a Jackie Frick. That's her class. It's her jam. And she is, from what I understand, there's no aspirations really to go up. She keeps, plowing in that particular class. But that's not to say the excitement doesn't even carry over to the alcohol funny car ranks, because Bob McCosh, which I really got to meet him for the first time this past weekend, fascinating character, apparently a self-made man that is a car dealership owner. He is an individual that made a big move in the points. He went in 4th in national standings, and he leads, guess what? It's almost like a reversal from top alcohol dragster to top alcohol funny car, because he leaves from Texas 1 point over second place Sean Bellemere. Fascinating fight in the Lucas Oil ranks in the top alcohol cars right now. Stories definitely need to be told, and hopefully I can continue to tell the story. The next regional on the docket would be in Norwalk, Ohio at Summit Motorsports Park for their cavalcade of cars presented by Budweiser.
And Bob McCosh has always had a strong running car, but he has been exceptionally well so far here in 2023. And it's great that he has the points lead, like you said, only 1 point over Sean Bellemere. But just backing up to the dragsters, though, you mentioned Tony Stewart, obviously a legend in the world of motorsports. He's saying the right stuff and he's doing the right stuff. But I believe Tony Stewart may be counting points as well. I think he's too much of a competitor to not be. I think so.
You cannot tell me that the competitor that he is, that he might not have known right then in Indy how close he moved to the number 1 spot, being 1 point behind Julie at that point. But I'm sure he was informed. I'm sure he took a look. I'm sure championship is more on the mind than it may have ever been.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, certainly that's what the McPhillips are aiming for, and they are a team with him as a driver that they are capable of doing that. And I see Andrew's comment. He mentions NHRA sportsman points is way too complicated to figure out. Well, it may not be, considering when we get to the playoffs in the camping world, we got to factor in all these playoff points that I still don't know how to factor in. But it's basically, you have to count a certain amount of regionals and a certain amount of nationals. So like Bob McCosh, I had an interview with him. He explained it really well because this can be confusing. It should not be as confusing as it is because it should be talked about more. We just don't do that. But it's the best 7 out of 10 national events, and it's the best 3 out of 5 regionals from what I can remember Bob McCosh explaining. And he said this. He said, if you are going to win the national championship in Top Alcohol Dragster or Top Alcohol Funny Car, you better win 3 regionals this year. You better not runner-up. You better not just make semifinals. You better have 3 wins. And he also said you probably need at least 5 national championship wins to get the national championship. The stakes are high in Top Alcohol for sure.
And so let me ask you a question. So like Andrew said, the points deal is kind of complicated in the sportsman categories. So you mentioned best 7 out of 10. So say a driver shows up to more than 10 national events. Can you pick which national events you want to earn points for?
From what I understand, yes. For example, I was surprised in interviewing Jackie Frick in mentioning, Jackie, last time we saw you at the track, you finished runner-up to Tony Stewart at the Indianapolis Regional. She said they did not claim that regional. Found that fascinating. So you can pick and choose which ones you claim, or you could rephrase it as a drop in that scenario. But you need that 3 out of 5. You need that 7 out of 10, from what I understand, to run for. And then you also do get the complexities that not everybody's running for a national championship. Some are just focused on that regional championship, such as a Kyle Smith, the 2022 Central Regional Champion in Top Alcohol Funny Car.
Yeah. And so it just makes you wonder. So do you think because I think I heard maybe a couple years ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the regional thing may have been going away. I don't know if you've ever heard of anything like that. I'm not sure, but I thought that maybe I heard like a couple years ago that it could just be just national points in the alcohol ranks.
Could happen. I don't recall that conversation. I'm sure, though, that conversation has come up, even though I'm not familiar with it. Maybe in a sense of like Andrew putting that comment in to make it easier to understand. But if you do that, that takes away those who, well, just aren't interested in running for a national championship because it is a step up. It costs that much more to do that and haul all over the country and participate in national events.
Well, yeah, and the only reason why I bring that up is, and I probably heard this through the grapevine. It probably had no legs to it when I heard this. But you all know the pro cars used to race for regional points way back in the day, and they kind of went away with that. So it's the only reason why I brought that up. Yeah, because
made
it more
honestly, what the alcohol classes do, it's exactly what Top Fuel used to do. It's how the points just worked. Period. Way back in the day. Again, yes, how NHRA drag racing is right now is not how it always has been. So don't freak out when there's change. And we've got change to talk about in just a few moments as well, Darren. The sky is falling. Chicken Little. You
want to go there now or you want to wait?
How about we talk about Chicago? We've got plenty of people chiming in about Chicago. I did not get to see much. Got to see a little bit on NHRA.tv. I was literally working, though, another drag race. You, though, were able to watch it intently. Give me the scope and the span, the depth, the width of that event with Clay Milliken, Gage Herrera, Tim Wilkerson, and Dallas Glenn winning.
Dude, where do you want to start? So, Chicago the past couple of years, obviously it's been a 4-year hiatus. But before that, I mean, this race was in late June, late July, and it was hot and muggy and everything like that. Well, they moved it back to May, and we got those cool temperatures like we would see back in the day, back in the early 2000s when this thing was set in May. And, the one run I always talk about is that 442 or Gary Stalesy, the first to 330 miles per hour. Like these dudes used to fly at Route 66 back in the day. And we saw that 3 of our 4 pro categories broke the track records here this past weekend. The only one that didn't get broke was in Top Fuel. Mike Salinas number 1 with a 368. But Robert Height with that great 383 on Friday night, man, quickest run of the season. Dallas Glenn with a 650 in pro stock, and then Gage Herrera. So let's start with Gage Herrera, man. 3 straight races, 3 number 1 qualifiers, 3 wins. He is perfect. This is not my stat. Dave W. gave me this stat on Inside the NHRA. The last man to start the season in pro stock motorcycle with 3 straight number 1 qualifiers and 3 straight wins. I don't know if you can see him. Matt Hines. That's the last man to do it. And here's the thing. So, Gage Herrera, 667.7 in Q1, 667.7 in Q2, 667.2 in Q3. He laid down the second, third, and fourth quickest runs in the history of the class just that weekend. He now holds 5 of the top 20 quickest runs in the class. He was a 10th better than the entire class after qualifying, a full 10th. But get this, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. His worst run on Sunday, which was a 672, was still 300s better than the next best guy. That's pure domination right there. That's pure domination. It's like it's amazing. Like the next best guy was Joey Gladstone and Eddie Krawick with a 675.
Whatever Vance and Hines have found,
it's ridiculous.
The NHRA is about to lay. you know, rule changes are coming.
Man, it's just amazing to see what this young guy is doing. We had him on the show a while back after he won Gainesville, and he's the real deal, man. And I'll tell you what, I mean, can we give him the championship trophy now? I mean, no. I know he can't. I know it's a joke. We still have a long way to go. I'm just joking, but man, it will be the way he started off the season. It'll be nothing but a disappointment if he doesn't win the championship of how dominant he is. But still a long way to go. So don't want to get ahead of ourselves. And Pro Stock, man. So it's funny. Cameron Caruso wins the first ever Pro Stock All-Star call out on Saturday. She got called out in each run. It was all elite. So I'll tell you what, KB Titan and Team Elite knew the assignment because it was all KB Elite, KB Titan versus Elite in round one, and Elite actually got the best of them.
Let's give the Pro Stock people some credit because in Top Fuel they have not understood the assignment. They have not been like, we want Steve and Brittany and Steve, like, call out who we want, and they're just like, no, my crew chief has said to pick this person, and we're gonna go with them right now. No, we want to see the battles. We want to see the fights. They understood the assignment, and thank you, Pro Stock. That's what we want to see.
No, I definitely agree with that. And like I was saying, Elite kind of got the best of them in round number one, but KB Titan got the last laugh. And I'll tell you what, Dallas Glenn, who won the race on Sunday, he called out Erica Enders first round of the call out and lost, went on a red light, but still went number one on that run. He went to number one spot.
Again, I'm surprised by that. If you recall last week, I said, hey, I think the person in the most strongest position is Dallas Glenn because he's the one that he knows who he's going to call out and he's going to be prepared for. Obviously, that's not to say Erica can not win and can't drive, blah, blah, blah. No, certainly, five-time champion. But with the way they're running, you think Dallas, with his focus and ability, that it would have been a win. With that being said, though, as rough as it has been for Erica, a little ray of hope in that call out.
A little bit, but then you come back and you lay down low ET of eliminations and go out round one on a whole shot. So it's a little tough going for Erica right now. Like I said, low ET of eliminations, out round one on a whole shot. Just 2 round wins for Erica so far this season. No time to panic, like we said for Gabe Herrera. Still a long way to go for him, and you can't give him the trophy just yet. It's way too early to count out Erica Enders. You can't even count out a 5-time champ. She's a 5-time champ for a reason. Can't count her out. So, but what a great day for Jerry Don Tucker making it to the semifinals.
Yes.
That was a great day for him.
Well, and an Elite, in some respects, many respects, honestly, still had a good weekend. Richard Friedman gets the win in Mountain Motor Pro Stock. He is a old Mountain Motor Pro Stock driver back in the IHRA days. He is not unaccustomed to getting behind the big 820 cubic inch monsters.
Yes. Like you said, still a great weekend for your Team Elite. And man, I'll tell you what, but that old Dallas Glenn, man, 3 wins so far, 3 in the last 4 races. They have found something, but got to give a shout out to Derek Kramer. 3 straight final rounds.
Yes. Coming
off a win in Charlotte. Michael Heinrich, the crew chief, they have found something. So I'll tell you what, this Pro Stock wars between KB Titan and Elite is still early, but KB Titan, man, they're getting it done so far to kick off 2023, I would say.
I completely agree. Darren, overall, I don't think there's much to complain about in the sport competition-wise.
No.
Look at how wild Top Fuel was. I had to send 3 texts to people that I know in Top Fuel and say, buddy, I'm sorry that you didn't make the field. And they still ran good.
They did. Will Smith still ran good.
Insane.
Like I said, Will Smith ran good. He ran mid to low 380s, and he couldn't make the field. It just goes to show how tough it is out there in Top Fuel.
Doug Foley. runs another 380. That was good for him to be in the field at ZMAX. It was not good enough to make the field in Chicago.
I think Clay Millican went 380 in the final and won the race with a 380. 380 can't even get you. That's just goes to show, man. It's cutthroat out here. It's
As
really
Alan
cutthroat.
Reinhart says, it's a right time, right place sport.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right about that. And you mentioned Clay Millican. So, Lee, you ever seen the movie Coming to America?
Yes. Good morning, my neighbors.
His mama named him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. Clay Millican. No round wins. No round wins coming into this race. None. Zero. A donut. And he covers all 4 bases. Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs style, to win the race. First win of the year. First win, coincidentally, since Chicago 2018. 4th career win for Clay Millican in NHRA. What a great win. You should have heard him on the radio afterwards. The radioactive with him after winning the race was amazing. Like,
I
so
haven't
much
heard
emotion.
that. I'll have to hunt that down and hear that for myself. But hey, good for Rick Ware Racing.
Yes.
A brand new entity, if you will, within the world of NHRA, a team that is now in Mooresville, Race City, USA, NASCAR country. Clay has been, he has been out here for a long time. Yeah. And I love seeing Clay have success in the NHRA because I remember his IHRA days. I was an IHRA fan, and I remember his domination, and I remember the struggles that he would have coming over to NHRA, and he has had struggles for sure. So it is good to see him have a win. And hey, the clutch girl, Kaylin Simmons, she's getting married soon, and that's a great wedding present for her and her fiance. So that's pretty cool. It's a great story all the way around.
It was I forget, I think it was like 2013 or something like that. It was before Clay had ever won a race in NHRA. And he went to a final round because Clay used to go to a lot of finals back in the day before he got his first win. And I was watching the TV broadcast, but you could hear Alan Reinhart on the PA on the TV broadcast, and he goes, "What does Clay Millican got to do to win one of these things?" It's like he just kept running it up, and then finally, when he broke through at Bristol back in 2017, just what an emotional moment that was. He lost his son just a few years earlier, and then obviously that was with David Grubnick, and won a few more races after that, and it's been a long time coming. 2018, man, it's been a long time since Clay Millican's been in a winner's circle. Jimmo, he's been struggling. And I'll tell you what. So speaking of Jimmo, right? Speaking of Jimmo, don't call Clay Millican and Jim Oberhofer the Coletta stoppers in Chicago. Excuse me. Defeated Sean Langdon in round number 1 and beat Doug Coletta in round number 2. You cannot tell me Jim Oberhofer did not take kind of like that a little bit more, that he got to beat both Coletta cars on that day. But no, great for Jimmo, a legendary crew chief in this sport. Like I said, has been struggling big time with Clay. So what a great win for Clay. And hopefully they can continue this momentum. Hopefully it's just not a win and they fall off. Hopefully they can continue this momentum, keep building. And yeah, man, what a win. But
what a win. What a win in Funny Car.
What a win in Funny Car. Before we move to Funny Car, though, we got to talk about the hometown hero, TJ Zizzo,
who we will have on the show.
Who we will. And the reason why I want to bring him up, low ET of eliminations, 371. Bruh, he hasn't ran a race in 2 years. It's a new Don Schumacher Racing chassis, and he goes to the semifinals, first race out, low ET of eliminations.
And had to do it the hard way.
Exactly. From the number 16 qualifying position.
Right.
I mean, come on.
It's cool. It's a good story.
Come on.
TJ Zizzo is definitely one of the I wish, I know, and people ask him all the time, hey, running a full schedule, and he has a business, a very successful business, and they do very high-end work. We'll hear a little bit more about that later on tonight. But it would be good to see TJ Zizzo run the full tour, make a play for the championship. And I think if they had that much more time and data, they would be even more dangerous than what they are for sure.
Dude, like I said, new chassis, low ET of eliminations, 371 first race. I mean, come on, like, it's amazing.
Right.
And then I think he said that his crew, and he can correct us when he gets on. I think that's the same crew he's had for the past 20 years or something like that. Like These guys know how to win. It's all about chemistry and gelling. And so, man, I love it. And hopefully, and here's the thing though. So he makes it to the semifinals, and we can ask him when he comes on. That qualifies him for the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Well, I don't know if he's going to Epping, so If he doesn't, then it goes to Jacob McNeil, who will also won his first career round win in Chicago. Well, if Jacob doesn't go, because Jacob was the quickest second round loser. Well, if Jacob doesn't go, then it goes to the second quickest second round loser, which would be Leah Pruitt. I want to go a little bit of a tangent right here. So I don't agree with that. Nothing against Leah. That is a championship winning car. I would say Leah Pruitt is. And the reason for the Mission Foods Challenge is to incentivize winning. You win, you get some playoff points. Well, Leah Pruitt didn't earn it. Now, if she gets into that position and say she happens to win it, that's 3 championship bonus points. And I don't think that's fair. Just my opinion. Like I said, nothing against Leah. I don't like the rule. I think they should just line it up the way it is and just, because, I mean, those are valuable playoff points that they didn't earn. So just my opinion.
There are other ways to handle it. It happens routinely at Friday night and Saturday night drag races across the country of, hey, let's draw cards, whatever. There's plenty of ways to handle. Go off reaction time, whatever you want to do it if these 2 cars don't show up. But you never know. That might very well incentivize TJ Zizzo to show up in Epping. We'll have an opportunity to ask him in just a few moments. And with the few moments that we do have, let's cover very quickly funny car. Tim Wilkerson, certainly with a feel-good win, first win with Skag on the side. I definitely have got to reach out to Ron Capps, though, and ask, man, what happened with that chute? Because Ron packs his own chutes.
Hey, he was leading, and he was pulling away. And I'll tell you, I told you to sign on NHRA.TV. I was like, Ron Capps on his way to a win, and that parachute fell out, and that Skag funny car drove around him. Timmy the Tiger gets the win. You got Tony the Tiger in top field. Timmy the Tiger gets the win in funny car. 24th career win. And, man, just a great win for Tim. I know it's been a while. So, man, Tim Wilkerson, great guy. Hometown win for him as well. So, I mean, you can't complain.
Cannot complain. Hey, shout out to my boy Chad Green, though.
Yeah.
They are putting the work in.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're doing what you got to do to win a championship.
No, for sure. And, another semifinal. And when you keep knocking on the door, keep putting yourself in position, at some point, you're going to break through and get a win. If you keep knocking on that door, you're going to break through at some point. So Chad Green will be a national event winner at some point this season, I believe.
I firmly believe that. He already has won in the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge.
Yeah.
So they are certainly knocking on the door for him to get that first funny car win. Certainly he is accomplished in Pro Mod, and it is coming in funny car. He currently sits 6th in the point standing, 91 points behind first place, and 5th, Tim Wilkerson. He is 87 points behind. So Chad is right there in the thick of it.
Yeah. And so Capps did spoil the whole father-son final round that could have happened in Chicago, but hey, it is what it is. Could have had Chad Green versus Tim Wilkerson in the final, but hey. Yeah, but I do wonder what happened with that, because I mean, was it tire shake? Did the tire shake and then the parachutes fall out? I was really curious. Like, you never see that.
And he was far enough down the track. Honestly, I'm like, man, tire shake that far?
Yeah.
It wasn't early in the run, and I definitely I need to reach out to Ron and kind of get a quote, get a quip from him, or see what happens, because very uncharacteristic to see any parachute issues from that camp. So
you know what's ironic though? You know what's ironic? So Tim Wilkerson posted something on Instagram like a few days before the event, and it was back to one of his 4-wide wins or something like that. And he said that he had got out there, and Ron Capps came up to him at the top end, was like, "Hey man, it's like you just shot out of a cannon like out there. What happened?" And then I was like, kind of ironic, because like he was ahead, and then I'm pretty sure Ron Capps just seen Tim Wilkerson just fly past him like a cannon at the top end here in Chicago. So I thought that was a little ironic that it kind of happened a few days after he posted that on Instagram. But yeah, anyway.
Well, man, we are at the point in the show we're going to get our first guest on of the night. Tonight, the lineup is TJ Zizzo. We're going to have him for roughly 15 minutes or so. Tami Bandimere will make another appearance here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. And then we will wrap up the show with Justin Ashley. Definitely people that have made huge statements in the world of NHRA drag racing here lately. This is the Competition Plus Power Hour, presented by Weldon High Performance. TJ Zizzo, the Ziz, back on the Competition Plus Power. Man, I was down in Texas covering a regional double divisional, so I wasn't able to be there at Chicago. Certainly missed out on seeing you, and congratulations. Good news out of the far land in the north that you did so well.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate being seen that way, right? I mean, we had been gone for almost 2 years. We had only gone to 2 races in 3 years. I took a little hiatus for some personal reasons. Had to get my head screwed on straight a little bit, right? I'm a workaholic, and I didn't know how to stop, guys. I really didn't. I worked over 100 hours a week for many, almost a decade or so, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. So, I took a little hiatus from drag racing and simultaneously got a phone call from Don Schumacher and made some really good choices to get better equipment. And our entire team stuck behind me. My dad, of course, being the leader of our team, all agreed upon this. And now we have great equipment, so we can do, the best job we can. We've always done the best job we can, but now we have equipment to prove ourselves.
Well, TJ, I want to be the first to say it's great to have you back, and it was great seeing you perform out at Joliet this past weekend. So like you mentioned, that new car from Don Schumacher Racing, you haven't raced in 2 years, but to come out and have low ET of eliminations with that great 371 in round number 1, I mean, what does that say about your team? To have that long layoff and to come out and run as strong as you did, what does that say about your team and how strong you guys are?
I'm lucky. I'm very lucky, guys. I don't think thankfully we have a good fan base, and fans, I'm very easy to find. So fans call me all the time, and they wonder why I'm always working on our race car. And we tested 2 or 3 weeks before the event, and I'm taking a deep breath. When we tested, this car out of the box ran career best numbers. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how well this car performed out of the box. But it's a statement to everyone at our shop. All of us are volunteer, first of all. There's nobody on our team that is here full time besides myself, right? And all I do is facilitate a place for these guys to come and assemble and work on a Tuesday night. They're here right now, and a Sunday all day. And I call vendors and manufacturers to get parts and pieces lined up. And these guys come here wanting to win and work hard on our program. We don't come here to drink beers. We don't come here to gossip. We come here to work on our race car. And it shows, and it continues to show year after year, even after taking a 2-year hiatus from the sport. It doesn't mean we weren't working on a race car. We have been working diligently on a race car almost a majority of that time. And I'm blessed by the people who still show up at our shop and literally deal with my dad and I on many different levels. Very blessed.
TJ, I was at ZMAX working with Doug Foley. He qualified at that event 16th with a 380. 380 did not get him in the show at Chicago. 2 years absent, you come back. Top Fuel may be the most challenging it ever has been. Did you want to come back?
Well, guys, I explained, thankfully, guys, I'm surrounded by some wonderful people, right? My family, my friends, my therapist, I'm surrounded by some really great people. When I got that call from Don Schumacher, it was right after St. Louis 2021. We had barely qualified. And he called me and just said, "Hey, I really want to help you out." And the funny thing is, he's been asking to help our team out for a long time. He's a wonderful human being. He only lives 20 minutes from here, so I get to see him on occasion. And I was just not open for someone to help us out. I felt like our team can do it. No matter what it is, our team can do it. We didn't need help. Well, I found out right away on the very first pass with that race car that we needed help. And I'm glad that Don called at the right time when our entire team realized that we wanted the same equipment as Justin Ashley. We wanted the same equipment as Brittany Force. We wanted that opportunity. In my 30 plus years of driving, I've never had the opportunity to have the equipment my opponent has. So it feels good. It gives you confidence. But to go out there and qualify 16th, I will tell you, was a disappointment. We had swagger in our step after testing, and I thought we would have an opportunity to be number 2 or 1 or 3 qualifier, right? I really did. And to go out there and barely qualify was disheartening, but this sport is very humbling, and it's very challenging. You mentioned, Lee, that this is probably the most difficult Top Fuel has ever been. I agree, wholeheartedly agree with that. And we will make great strides to get better. We were not at our peak performance whatsoever. We all made mistakes, including myself, multiple times throughout the weekend. And we will continue to work really hard to make our program even better.
And so that makes me ask then, because like you said, kind of struggling in qualifying. When I kind of you qualified on the bump, what did you guys kind of find, Saturday night, Sunday morning? Because I mean, I know Mike Salinas crossed the center line, but still, you guys went out with a great 371, made a statement. What did you guys find to turn the program around that weekend?
Yeah, we didn't find anything, guys. We were just making mistakes, and it was mostly around me. The reason I say that is because we have been working so diligently as a team to get this car together. So Don called me and wanted to put an entire car together for us at his shop with his personnel. Our team did not want that. We appreciated it, but we wanted to put it together ourselves so we knew how to fix it if something went wrong. We're very hands-on. Our entire team, we've been together. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 3 decades, guys. 3 decades. Marriages don't last 3 decades. So I'm very blessed once again, and we decided that we would put this car together at our shop. It took a long time to do, but we didn't get a chance to really fine-tune our engine pieces, right? Some of these engines we had put together back in 2019. Not that they know any different. They just sit on the floor of the shop, right? Or in our trailer. But there was a couple engines that we ran in testing that were good engines, but they were at their end of their life cycle. But I wanted to get one more pass out of them. I mean, we're still on a budget here, guys. I don't have unlimited resources. My dad and I own successful businesses, but we are still on a very tight budget. So Friday night, we want to really go out there and set the pace. We're the first car on the racetrack, and it goes out there and just throws the crank out. 100% my fault. We ran that crank 13 times. It showed no cracks. I wanted to run it again just one more time and just retire that crank and put it in my office for memorabilia, and needless to say, it dropped the crank right out of the bottom of the engine. So 100% my fault. We go out there Q2. We know how to tune this race car surprisingly enough already. And it goes out there and runs a 79. Fantastic. Q3, we expect to run a little bit better, and burns a piston out of it, and the pan pressure shuts us off. So we're still working with some valve train situations. The bottom end of this car, the bottom end of this engine is beautiful. Bearings look good, all that stuff, minus the crankshaft that we blew out of it because of me. But needless to say, we have a handle on this race car. I am surrounded by 2 Hall of Famers. I mean, we have Don Schumacher on one side, Ron Tobler on another, and let's not forget about great people in the sport like Dom Lagana. I called him or texted him 20 times a day just to get information and learn, because he is so good at what he does. So he would talk me off ledges all day long. There's another wonderful person in the sport. Let's not forget his brother, Bobby, another good gentleman that I've known for a long time that helped us probably from the very beginning of what we need to do to make this car successful. Todd Okahara, another great gentleman who helps us through Don Schumacher Racing. So I am blessed, guys, to be surrounded by some wonderful people. And now I have open arms to say, come in, I need help, And then our team, we've been together a long time. So, that 71 didn't come out of the blue, not in the slightest. That 71 was was there for the taking. That's what we wanted to do. It didn't throw us a bone. I wasn't surprised. No one on our team was really surprised, except my wife. She was ecstatic. She was there all weekend long too for the first time in a long time. So I saw a video of her jumping up and down and being really excited about what just took place. And that made me happy, because through this process of rekindling my relationship with my wife and my kids and not being in this shop constantly, it's been good for me. I've had good balance in my life now, and taking every event in stride and really, really enjoying what I'm doing once again. I forgot that I need to enjoy what I'm doing. And it's something that Dom Lagana reminded me of. You know, it's a stress-free zone in our shop. We have a sign up in our shop now that says that, because it should be. This is fun. This is a lot of work. Turning on wind lights is what makes it fun. But I've always been willing to put in the effort. Now I just have a little bit more balance in my life, which has made my whole outlook on drag racing much better.
Well, Mr. Zizzo, glad that you have certainly found that, and thank you for sharing that with each and every one of us, because we're all humans here and we all have our own struggles, and we need to find exactly that balance and continue to move forward, enjoy what we actually truly do enjoy. Last question I've got for you. We do have to keep to a schedule here, not rushing you along, but Darren did mention about Epping and being in a Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. Is that enticing enough to take the long trip up to the Northeast, to that little track there in New Hampshire?
It's a beautiful place. We raced IHRA there and was very successful there. Actually, I got beat by the Laganas there. It was fantastic. But, you know, it is not enticing. We are a very schedule-orientated team. We know what we can and cannot do. I would love to go to more races, but Norwalk is next on our schedule. We're going to do a good job at Norwalk. We're going to prepare for that. I appreciate NHRA and that program that they put together with Mission. It's really cool. I hope to be a part of it more and more. That means we're being successful on the racetrack, but Norwalk is our next step.
And so I know I know Ron Tobler helps out Jason Rupert on the West Coast, but are you gonna be able to pull Ron Tobler away from retirement and get him to Norwalk as well?
Oh yeah, Ron Tobler's been really on our team. I'll say that for like 15 years, long time. He's for some reason, him and I just from the very beginning got along very well. We are both the types of people who want perfection and want things well and organized. And don't look behind me. I'm no longer organized in my office, but you know, we're very similar and we get along well, and he loves our team. He's always been willing to work with our team. But where he really saw that was when we were going to the finals against Justin Ashley in 2020. He went out, I believe, first round with his Napa car at the time, and he stepped and just leaned against the trailer and watched our entire team work for the first time ever. And he goes, damn, you guys are really, really good. And I think at that point he realized that he really liked to help us more. We did it a little bit together in 2021. We went to 2 events together. At that point, he didn't have a ton of dragster experience, but now he has great experience with dragsters. He really showed how keen he is as a tuner, with him and Joe tuning Austin to a great win in Pomona. So with all that being said, he will be with us the rest of the year. Except St. Louis. I believe he's going on vacation that weekend. But yeah, we're excited, and we have some of his old team members on our team as well. So that makes everyone really happy to have another Hall of Famer on our team like Ron Tobler.
Well, great to have a legend on the team helping out, and what a legendary statement it was that I'm sure people will be talking about for a long time, that the Ziz showed back up and made it all the way to the semifinals and performed as well as he did. TJ, thank you for your time. We look forward to having you right here on the Power Hour once again with such success.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir. It's now time, Mr. Williams, to bring on
Tami Bandimere
right after this break.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Tami Bandimere, always a pleasure to see you at the track and good to see you on the Power Hour right here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I was looking at your the thing that you sent to me with the link and everything, and this is your 120th episode.
Yes. Thank you.
Nice job, gentlemen. That's a lot of episodes. That's a lot of people.
That it is a lot of people. It is a lot of episodes, and it's a lot of Bobby Bennett. God bless him.
How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Darren, go ahead.
Yeah, so before we get into, obviously all the talk around Bandimere Speedway and everything like that, this past weekend, you guys had a race called the Napa Auto Parts Night Under Fire and Thunder. Just kind of tell us how that all went. I know Nostalgia Top Fuel was on the property. Just kind of fill us in on how that all went and how successful it was.
It was awesome. And let me tell you something, this year is our 65th anniversary. So never underestimate the power of an anniversary year. But then, with the fact that it's the last year on the mountain for our family and for the facility, that puts a whole nother twist into it. But I don't know if you know, but last year, our Night of Fire and Thunder actually got snowed out. And we ended up having to postpone it until August. And we ran it in August. So it's been a couple of years since we've run that event on the date that it was supposed to be run. But, the weather was looking kind of funky, like it's been looking around the entire country for the last couple of weeks. And Friday was not real kind to us, but Saturday was really us. And I have a reading program that I started 27 years ago called Race to Read. It's for preschool and elementary students. And we had about 1,200 kids that got to bring a parent or an adult with them to the race. And we gave away goodie bags and free books. And we were busy. We were really, really busy. But everything rolled right along. We didn't have any real issues. And it was remarkable. Very good event.
And you mentioned that. So Michael Anderson, who kind of heads up the Extreme Top Field class, who were there this weekend, along with Jimmy Young, and he actually set the record on Saturday, 574. The previous record was a 578, so that was cool. But we actually had John Bandimere on our show on Wednesday nights called Kings of the Sport, and he told us about the Race to Read program and how it incentivizes kids to read. And, if they do a certain amount of reading, then they could bring a parent and themselves to the racetrack. Just kind of fill us in on how you kind of came up with that and with the closing of Bandimere, will that still be going on afterwards?
Right. Well, so when we did when the highway came through, which is instrumental in this whole story about why we've sold the facility, but the highway came through in 1987. We decided as a family that in 1988 we were going to take a hiatus with our national event, and then we came back in 1989. That's the year that the Chrysler Corporation climbed on board with us. And we've had the Chrysler Corporation involved with us with the national event for the last 35 years through either Mopar, Dodge SRT, Dodge Power Broker, go through whatever they decide they're going to, put on. But it really, truly is the longest running national event sponsorship in the history of NHRA. Might even be the longest in motorsports in general. I'm not sure if anybody has ever had a sponsor for 35 years, but that's all about relationships. You guys know that, it's just making sure that you stay in touch with people and find out about their families and know what's going on in their lives, not just a relationship. But when we did that renovation, we had to do a few things, some zoning changes and some things to the facility. And so my dad ended up meeting with some people, some of the local neighborhoods. And it was really clear that a lot of people just didn't understand what we did. And it was kind of sad, because I felt like, here my grandparents started this in 1958, and they really did it as a way to get kids off the streets and to have a safe environment for young people and with the automobile. And so I think a lot of people just, I kind of say that, we're not just that place that's on the side of the mountain that ties up traffic several times a year and messes with people's sleep. But we really do have a purpose, and that is, there's no difference on the 1320 asphalt, 1,320 feet of asphalt that we have that runs parallel to the highway. The difference is that it's a safe environment. There's not cross traffic. There's not, pedestrians. I mean, not that there's pedestrians on the highway, but you know what I'm saying. It's a safe environment, and that's what my grandparents wanted to have. So anyway, my daughter started elementary school right across the valley, and I went over there to buy some books for their library, and I said, I want you to use this check, and I want you to buy books about cars. And then I'd like to put like book plate in there that said, this book is donated by Bandimere Speedway, by your neighbor, Bandimere Speedway. And the librarian said, you're a new mom, your daughter's in kindergarten, and we typically do some kind of a reading incentive program when the kids come back from their Christmas break. Would you be willing to do something with us? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So we started it at Ruby Ranch Elementary School right across the hill. And then the next year we had 3 schools. The next year we had 5 schools. And now it was a program. And I thought, man, we've got to come up with a curriculum. Otherwise, this is just going to go off the rails. So Race to Read was born actually in 1996. And we started running it. And it's been 27 years. We were on break for 2020 because typically the program starts when the kids come back from spring break, and it's a 6-week reading program. And in 2020, kids just didn't go back to school after spring break. So we had to put it on hold for 2020, but then we picked it back up in 2021. And this year was our 27th year. We had about 27,000 kids that participated in the program this year. We had 54 schools. And that means that we had about 12 for themselves to come to the Night of Fire and Thunder.
That is a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. And a lot of families. What's so funny is it's a lot.
You're like Mrs. Claus of reading.
Yeah. And what's real, we'll take pictures of the kids because we give away free books. I used to be the chair of the board for the Jefferson Foundation, so I've still got a connection with them. And I asked him if we could get 1,000 books to give away to all the kids, not just Race to Read kids, but every child that came to the Night of Fire and Thunder that walked past our tent. And we had kids taken up into the grandstand, and parents are taking me pictures of their kids. There's jet cars going down the racetrack, and there's a kid got his nose in the book. My goodness, that's the fun. But whatever. So there's some kids that they just like to come out and watch the jet cars and go home, and that kind of thing. We get so many parents that come to this event that that really everybody drives by the facility all the time, but they never really stopped until their kids earned a free ticket to a race, and then they're like, hey, you know what? Let's go and check it out and see what it's like. So, and the Night of Fire and Thunder, is May 20th, so it's the beginning of our season. And so then we give them another ticket to come back to another event, have fun. And, there's a lot that go, wow, this is a cool thing. I'm going to check the schedule, and I'm going to do another event just on my own anyway without the free ticket. So.
Well, thank you for all that hard work and the lives impact in that way, and being evangelistic, if you will, for the motorsport of drag racing to so many. In light of the announcement that has been made and what we are facing as a future without Bandimere Speedway as we know it, there are many that are going to be saying, I got to get to the national event to see it for the last time. But if you're like me and you can't make the national event due to a scheduling conflict, there are other events you can catch, such as your Jet Car National. So what else is on the Bandimere Speedway list that people, if they can't make the national event, they need to circle and say, I'm going to Denver?
Well, and we kind of categorize our events. And, we've got major events, we've got special events, our ET series, that kind of thing. And our major events this year course, Night of Fire and Thunder. Our next one coming up will be our Thunder on the Mountain, which is our regional event. And this year it's a double that we've got going on. So that's the only time that people will see alcohol cars at the racetrack, because we haven't had alcohol cars as part of the national event for a long time. One of the reasons is because of our space, and that's one of the reasons why it was time to sell the facility, just because, we've got 160 acres, but we really only use about 120. And these teams are not coming with less equipment. They're coming with more equipment every single year. Even our junior dragster racers come with, a toter home, and they come with, big trailer and a 27-foot awning and that kind of thing. So, it's not, we just don't have a lot of space that we can, cram people into. So the Thunder on the Mountain is Father's Day weekend in June. And then we go into Jack Car Nationals. Now that's going to be on June 1st, July 1st. I'm sorry. Because I think July 4th is like on a Wednesday this year. So whatever that Saturday is, I think it's July 1st. And then we go into the Mile High Nationals, which is the 14th through the 16th. And then when we go into August, we have our Mayhem on the Mountain, which is a fun event. That is on August 26th. And then we do the no prep race that happens, I believe that's in either the end of August, 1st of September. And then we just kind of start to wind down a little bit and then just go into the fall series and that kind of thing. But our specialty events are really fun too. In fact, this weekend, I believe, we have got our Mopar at Thunder Mountain event on Sunday. And so that's all Mopars. Then we go into a truck fest next Sunday, which is obviously all trucks. We do a buggy event with all Volkswagens. We do Ford event. So those are our specialty events. So that if somebody is interested in just Mopars, come to the Mopar event. If you're interested in trucks, come to that. So, and then we fill it in with our Colorado State Patrol Take It to the Track test nights. Those are every Wednesday night. Anybody can come run their cars as long as they pass pretty easy tech inspection. And then we run our Club Clash, and we run over 130 events April through October, and that doesn't even include challenge races that we do with hospitality and that kind of thing. So we have a pretty busy schedule.
Well, you best believe I'm gonna make it out to Thunder Mountain for the final Mile High Nationals. I'm not gonna miss it. But final question for me. Obviously, like you said, 65 years of history, and obviously it's disappointing for us to see this great track with so much history go away. And I know it's even tougher for you and your family because I mean that's all you guys have pretty much known. But it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are kind of at peace with this decision. I know John, when I had him on the show, he said it's in God's hands. Is it fair to say that you guys are at peace with this decision?
Yeah, and I don't know how much he went into it, but when that highway came through, we knew our days were numbered, because they had said, everyone that had talked to us had said, give it about 30 years and you're going to see pretty major development encroaching upon you. And whether that's housing, whether that's commercial, whatever that is, everybody wants to be near a major highway and a major thoroughfare. And sure enough, they weren't wrong. That highway went through 33 years ago, and things have gotten closer and closer and closer to us. So, and we've never had permanent water or sewer. So for 65 years, we've pumped a lot of water into that facility, and we pumped a lot of sewer out of that facility. So it's not one thing in that is I mean, I know a lot of people, those neighbors, they complain. No, they really don't complain. They know who we are. They know what we stand for now. And they really don't complain. And it's not just the development. It's not just the local government that gave us hassle in 2020. It's not one thing by itself. It's just a whole lot of things. And so for the last 30 years, our family basically has had a 5-year plan. And then we go, oh, wow, we're here for 5 more years. Let's do this. All right, we're here for 5 more years. Let's do that, So we've just been kind of watching it, and the time was right, and God just put the right person in front of us, and we said, all right, here we go.
Tami, to you and your family, thank you for all y'all have done in the sport of drag racing and certainly beyond, with so many different types of programs that you all have implemented and shown what a racetrack, no matter what it may be, can do for a community. And we certainly look forward to the future that you all have. Thank you for being on the show, and we'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Take care.
Always good to chat with Tami Bandimere, and she is just as sweet as a person off the show at a track as she is right here on. Cool to talk with her each and every time.
She passed by us at Texas Roadhouse in Vegas, correct?
That's right. Yes,
I remember that. Yeah.
Her and the lady that works for Tony Stewart Nitro. Wow, never mind. They wanted to go enjoy the rolls.
Oh, the rolls are great.
Yeah, rolls are great at Texas Roadhouse.
You mentioned Tony Stewart Racing, right? So you know how it's TSR for Tony Stewart
Yes.
Racing? You know that could really get confused with the Shade Room on Instagram? Just saying.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
You got to look up the Shade Room on Instagram. Change subject. Let's move on.
And now in the Competition Plus Power Hour, we are going to move on and bring on our last guest of the night, out of the top fuel ranks in the Camping World Series NHRA Drag Racing, Justin Ashley, right after this break.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
Justin Ashley, one of the brightest young rising stars of the NHRA, live on the Competition Plus Power Hour once again. Always good to have you, man.
It's always good to be on. You know, I always enjoy coming on and spending some time with you guys. And I get these great, awesome intros too. So that's always a bonus.
You send me a check for that last one, man.
We're supposed to talk about that off the air.
Well, Justin, great to have you back on the show. And before we talk about stuff on the track, obviously we have to talk about the big news that dropped this past weekend out of Joliet. You guys are teaming up with Joey, Kathy Maynard, and the Maynard Family Racing. Just kind of tell us how that all came together and how long that been in the works.
Yeah, so it's funny. My dad actually met Joe Maynard just coincidentally at the airport many years ago, leaving a race. And ever since, they kind of became friends, right? They've been friendly ever since. And they got to talking relatively recently over the last month or so. And you know, when you talk with Joe, you can see that he's so passionate. He's so enthusiastic about the sport of NHRA drag racing. And we spoke about some of the plans and the future of where the sport is and his interest in potentially expanding and, you know, our interest on our side in terms of kind of moving our program and taking a new step in a different direction. So just really excited how everything kind of came together. And this is a really, really exciting partnership. I have so much gratitude for Joe Maynard, Kathy Maynard, Joe Jr., Eric, and the entire Maynard Family Racing organization. I'm just so excited about what this means for our future as a program, what it means for the Maynard family. And I know that there are a lot of really special things to come in the future.
If you would, give us some insight on the motivation for the Maynards and being involved in so many teams in so many different ways in drag racing, from Tim Wilkerson to Tony Schumacher to you now. And I mean, if you really do digging, even other teams out there, they have really stepped up in a big way in the sport of NHRA Camping World drag racing. And it goes beyond the Camping World Series. They have development drivers in the program. So it's Lucas Oil, it's even Junior Dragster. You can see their sticker just about everywhere.
Yeah, you really can. And really what it comes down to, Lee, is their love of the sport. You know, there's a story that Joe tells about Kathy and the first time she went to a drag race and saw a car go down the racetrack and she said, I want one of those, right? They absolutely love the sport, and that's where it comes from. They're invested in the future of this sport through the Junior Dragster program, through everything they're doing and their involvement with all the different teams. Now, they're involved in obviously different ways and different capacities. As it pertains to our team, on the track, everything's going to stay the same. Our relationship with Toyota, our relationship with our teammate Antron Brown, we are going to act as an independent team. Obviously, we're partners with the Maynard family, and we are independent from what's happening with Tony Schumacher and what's happening with Tim Wilkerson. And we have so much respect for those guys over there, but we're going to continue to operate and run things the way that we are going to. We have Jim Epler's involvement and ownership, Dustin Davis's ownership and involvement, and where you're really going to see a lot of benefits on our side is off the racetrack, whether it's payroll, whether it's resources, parts acquisition, expanded business-to-business opportunities. So this is really about growth. It's about stability and building a championship-winning organization on and off the racetrack for us. So they're involved in a lot of ways, but ultimately it boils down to their love of the sport and their commitment and their investment to seeing the sport of NHRA drag racing grow.
And it's so amazing to see what Joey Cathy Maynard has done for the sport of NHRA drag racing. Like you said, starting with Tony Schumacher and then Tim Wilkerson, and now with you guys. And then I guess it's Max Out Motorsports now with Jim Epler and Dustin Davis and your side teaming up with the Maynard family. And so I know Lee told me he had a conversation with you, and it's always about actively searching for more money and more money and more money in the budget. Does this partnership now help you kind of go out and run as hard as you want to now and kind of have to worry about all that, budgetary things?
Well, I mean, I think it helps, in a number of different ways. I think that's certainly one of the reasons, amongst many others. First and foremost, we work with partners like Phillips Connect who have committed to making our program better, both on and off the racetrack. And it starts there. And it starts with Rob Phillips and Jim Epler and Amber White and all the people from Phillips Connect and Phillips Industries. But to be able to work with the Maynard family, to be able to work with companies like Kato and Toyota, and the list goes on and on, Lucas, Mac Tools, Impact, they are the reason we're out there performing at a high level. And yes, it does help to expand our resources and maybe provides us a little bit more flexibility. But also, we need to continue to look to expand. And, that's going to be the goal. And part of that is the expanded business-to-business opportunities that come with this partnership is more opportunities for more companies and more partners to get involved in the program. So I think it helps in that way, and it helps in a number of different ways as well.
With these shows, Mr. Ashley and myself and Mr. Williams, we're able to be the voices of the fans, if you will. And with this announcement, there are those that are, confused or at least wondering, what does it all mean amongst the top fuel ranks or in the sport of drag racing overall? How does it affect the partnership with Antron? How does this play in with Toyota? How does it affect Tony Schumacher and many of the other players out there with Maynard and AB Motorsports and Justin Ashley Racing and everything involved that's now swirling out there in the rumor field?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I appreciate the platform, Ashley, to be able to address it, because obviously we've gotten a number of questions since we made the announcement over the weekend in Chicago. So, in regards to Tony and Tim, it has absolutely no effect on their program whatsoever. This partnership would not happen if it had any kind of negative impact on Tony and Tim and the way they run their program. So completely separate from Tony and Tim and from SCAG and everything they have going on over there. I mean, I have so much respect for Tim Wilkerson, one of the greatest guys in the sport of NHRA drag racing. I have so much respect for the winningest top fuel driver of all time, Tony Schumacher, and he's always treated me so well, so kind, so nice. So I want to make that clear. These are two completely separate programs, two completely separate entities. And in regards to the way we run our operation, everything is going to stay the same. I think the guys have been doing an amazing, amazing job of running this program both on and off the racetrack and finding that elite level of performance. So Dustin Davis is going to continue to run the day-to-day operations. Jim Epler and his involvement, he's going to be actively involved in the business side of racing. Our teammate, Antron Brown, that relationship, the way we share data and the way we share information with each other, the way we share a hospitality area and work together on the business side will remain the same. And then in terms of our relationship with Toyota, we're a Toyota car. There are a few other Toyota cars, and we do not share that information with anyone else. In terms of sharing data and information, especially when it comes down to Toyota, that stuff stays in-house. We go back and forth with our teammate Antron Brown, but other than that, there's no relationship that extends past that. So we take that relationship very seriously, and everything will continue to operate as normal from this point forward, but obviously with more opportunities, more resources to be able to do so.
Well, thank God that's cleared up.
You funny, like I like it. Nah, I mean, I was like, man. So I was like, there's Maynard Wilkerson racing, there's Maynard Ashley racing, there's the Antron Brown aspect. I was like, just I'm happy you cleared that up for us. To the racetrack now. Obviously, second Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty challenge win. That's 6 bonus points in your back pocket now going into the countdown. And obviously, you're going to try to grow that even more. And like we all know, you're a championship contending driver and a championship contending team. You guys are one of the best teams out there, one of the top teams. But I think it's fair to say, I think one thing that you guys, I think, would like to change so far and probably clean up is the first round losses. I would think you would agree with that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you said it perfectly. Obviously, we want to find some more consistency. Right now, we've been a little bit of a hero or zero, but we kind of started last year the same way as well. And then in the middle of the year, we stacked like something like 5 or 6 semifinals in a row. And those are important. Obviously, we go into each race with the objective of winning the race, but it doesn't always happen. This sport is tough. The field is really tough. So we want to stack those round wins and continue to accumulate points as the season goes on, which makes the Mission Foods Challenge that much more significant. But yeah, I mean, certainly we want more consistency, but Mike Ree and Tommy DeLago, they are so good at what they do. They are the best in the business at what they do. And, I think they've proven that so far, and they have nothing more to prove. So we'll continue to go out there and try and do what we do best for our Phillips Connect Toyota Racing team. And that's put our best foot forward each and every weekend and continue to learn and continue to grow and move forward.
Mike Green is a bad man. I just want to say that. Mike Green's a bad man.
He is a bad man. He is a bad man.
Tommy D too. Tommy D's a bad man too. You got it, Lee.
My last question for you, Justin, will take a fun fan question from Andrew. Put a little spin on it. He asks, will Justin ever run a throwback scheme to his dad? And I'll add, which one, if you could run, we know partnerships, everything of that nature, but of all those great pro mods and even of the funny cars, which one would you like to have on your Top Fuel dragster?
So years ago, man, there'd be so many. I think back to the iconic paint schemes that he had in Pro Mod and in Funny Car, but years ago in 2004, when he ran the Eleanor car and he was sponsored by Carroll Shelby. At the time, the Gone in 60 Seconds movie came out, and he ran a Gone in 6.0 seconds scheme. And I thought that was really cool. It was a neat like dark purple with silver in it, and it was just an awesome looking race car. I think that, if we were to run a throwback scheme, that would be it. I don't necessarily anticipate that happening anytime soon. We love the way our Phillips Connect car looks right now, but that was definitely a favorite of mine. And if we were to do a throwback, I think that 2004 Pro Modified World Championship year, where they only qualified 8 cars, by the way, at each race, and they were like, even at Indy, like over 30 cars. It was just insanely competitive. That was a crazy year, and that would definitely be the go-to paint scheme.
Awesome. Well, Justin, man, it's great to have you on the show here tonight. And like I said, great things on the announcement with you and Maynard Family Racing, and best luck to you for the rest of the year, man.
Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on and chat. And again, just want to express my appreciation for Joe and Kathy Maynard and Joe Jr. and Eric and the entire Maynard Racing family organization. They do such a fantastic job, and I'm looking forward to growing this program together.
Awesome.
Justin, thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Well, folks, we're going to take one more break. We're not done talking drag racing. We will wrap up the Competition Plus Power Hour between myself and American Hot Rod Entertainment Competition Plus assistant editor, Mr. Williams, right there next to me. This word to help you see the light with Retro Bright.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holley Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.
Mr. Williams, I think we definitely have to discuss before the end of the show. I alluded to it a bit before rolling into the guest portion of the show, that the sky is falling in NHRA Camping World drag racing. You have the folks acting as Chicken Little, but they're actually little fans, apparently, in their small mindset on what is transpiring or what is to come. Your thoughts, sir, on Camping World and we now having a confirmation of their exit?
So when I first saw the announcement, and I actually saw it from your page, because I was getting all the clips together for Inside the
That's a
NHRA.
good place
So
to get,
yeah,
information. It is.
yeah. It was the first. You're the first place I saw it from, and immediately, I'm gonna be honest. It was Marcus Lemonis. I was like, has he ever been to the drag races? Has he even been to the racetrack yet? I was like, man, has Camping World ever been on a car? I'm like, so the guy who owns Camping World has never been to the racetrack and never even put his name on a car. But then I started to think, right? I was like, 2020 when Coke decided to leave. Let's be honest, the NHRA was kind of in shambles, and he stepped up and he started to sponsor the series. So, in that sense, I want to thank Marcus Lemonis and Camping World for at least stepping up when they didn't have to. Honestly, they didn't have to do that, and so I just want to, leave it on a positive note, because he stepped up when NHRA, it was we didn't know what was going to happen. It was COVID year, and purses were down, and we didn't have a title sponsor, and he stepped up when he didn't have to. So I want to thank him for that. The new title sponsor, I wanted to be somebody who's a company that's going to market the younger fans and, just all around be passionate about NHRA drag racing. So that's what I want. I don't know who it is now. Maybe it's I would think like a Red Bull or Monster Energy or something like that, but whoever can cash that check, I guess that's all that matters. But so yeah, I kind of had a negative opinion on it at first, like I said, with him not being at the racetrack and not putting his branding on the car. But like I said, he stepped up when nobody else had to. So thank you to Camping World.
I think that's a good word on the situation. And yes, I can remember the event in which it was rumored or expected that Marcus Lemonis was going to be there and working with Top Fuel teams, and everybody had like proposals and could be on a car and thought it would be very similar to the Camping World Truck Series at the time, and possibly he would be on a car or with a program. That didn't transpire. I would have loved to have seen more activation on the Midway. I think the only time I saw anything Camping World on the Midway was the first actual Camping World event post-COVID, and then this most recent event at ZMAX, they did actually have a Camping World Midway, but I wonder how much of that was corporate, or was it the Camping World that is literally outside of the racetrack there at ZMAX? I don't know. So I do hope in the future, and with what I'm about to say, again, I agree with you. I concur. I echo. Thank you to Camping World and Marcus Lemonis and their taking up of a contract and extending it for at least a couple of years, because I believe since COVID, NHRA drag racing has been moving forward and it has been on the rise. Has that trajectory been a straight up shot? I don't think anyone could say that, but it has had an upward trend, and that is certainly good. I do, as you stated, want to see, though, a sponsor that will activate the unique properties within NHRA drag racing, what makes it distinguishable from other motorsports. And that is, frankly, the access to the fan and the access that the fan has to the sport. I hope that there will be some interactive company that will see the value in NHRA drag racing and use it to its fullest capacity. With that being said, it also, I believe, needs to be stated that we're talking about marketing. And Darren, in marketing, those portfolios routinely change. And when I say change, it should change. Marketing is not something that is stationary or static. It will move, and it will move on from a particular demographic. Example, if you feel like you have got a majority of a particular people you have attempted to reach, it's probably time to move on to a new group to get new customers.
You mentioning that, are you that new audience? Are you mentioning the younger audience? Is that what you're pretty much talking about targeting?
I think that certainly needs to happen. With whoever the new sponsor is for fan engagement, which it doesn't matter what organization you are. I don't care if you're a YMCA to NHRA drag racing, you are always attempting to reach the next generation. And I do hope that we find a partner that will actively attempt to move the sport forward.
Yeah, and like I said, I want somebody who's passionate. And here's another dynamic too. Rick Ware, he said at Charlotte last year, I believe it was Charlotte last year, he said, hey, And I hate to bring up the whole NASCAR dynamic and stuff like that. I hate doing that, but he said more are coming as far as like owners and stuff like that. And we have Rick Ware, we have Rick Hendrick a little bit, of course, and the main guy is Tony Stewart. I'm wondering if having Tony Stewart in the sport right now and the way he's promoting it and showing like, hey, this is a legit sport and they're doing great things over here will attract a major corporate sponsor. That's what I'm hoping.
Very well.
I'm hoping that Link can do it.
Very well. He could be instrumental. And I personally believe we are moving closer in motorsports overall to a day and time where you're going to find more and more teams have a diverse portfolio in motorsports because of the nature around the internal combustion engine and motorsports in general with the overall populace and even how the government is moving with regulations. To protect motorsports, you are going to see more and more combine to keep it going on and have synergy. I think that's what you're going to find, that it's not going to be uncommon to see more teams like a Penske have a program here, and even there.
Hey man, it's cool to have a drag car now. It's not just an Indy car or a NASCAR. It's cool to have a top fuel car or a funny car, pro stock car now, and people are seeing that. Like I said, they're coming. They're coming.
They are, and it's interesting. It used not to be that uncommon. There were so many connections back in the proverbial day, but something kind of happened after, honestly, Joe Gibbs checked out from drag racing. You didn't see that big of a connection, but maybe that is slowly changing and turning around. We see obviously Tony Stewart, Rick Ware Racing, and very well could have many others. And hey, if Kurt Busch never gets back in a stock car and he continues to have the issues from his concussion, I'd love to see him back in a pro stocker. That'd be pretty cool.
So you're saying it's Joe Gibbs' fault? We blame this all on Joe Gibbs. That's what we should do. Blame Joe Gibbs.
No,
I'm joking.
Well, I know many people out there would love to blame Joe Gibbs, but speaking of Joe Gibbs and the drag racing connection, if you listen to his interview on the Dale Jr. Download, the man is very passionate about drag racing. He actually said that he wanted to be a drag racer, and that wasn't working out, and he went the football route and becomes a Super Bowl winning coach and creates the empire that he has within motorsports. But he had his time in drag racing and championships and wins, but you have to wonder at the time for him to have involvement with what I think really began and established what super teams could look like for the first time beyond a Larry Minor. With him checking out, you have to wonder what he saw as a business model. And maybe it wasn't there at the time, honestly. And maybe it is now different, and it's a better, more advantageous time for these type of partnerships and people to come into the sport.
No, and obviously, like I said, I'm just joking. Obviously, Joe Gibbs did so much for the sport of drag racing back in the 90s, with Corey Mack and Cruz Petragon, of course, Jim Yates and stuff like that. But just going back on the new title series sponsors, like, man, who's it going to be? Like, I'm curious now. I'm like, man, like Jeffrey Young said, we'll be making an announcement soon. I'm like, man, who could it be? I'm like, I'm just excited, basically. I'm excited. I want to see who it is.
Again,
I'm excited.
Overall, I feel like the sport has been moving forward. I think this is an opportunity for it to move forward again. And may I remind everybody, who says you need a title sponsor?
That is true.
We do see a NASCAR Cup functioning without a title sponsor. They have moved to the route of having a multitude of official, for whatever they are, sponsors. That may very well be the route to go in our day and time. Instead of having someone purchasing the big ticket, you're diversifying the amount of tickets and lowering the price and having more people involved. That may be what we see ahead. I don't know, though.
Do you think NHRA can go that route, though?
I think it's certainly possible, yes.
Okay. Just asking. Because, I mean, Drag Racing Central and Andrew, they've all said the same thing in the comments, and I don't disagree. So, I have no problem with that.
No, we very well could see that. We might be living in a day and time where having that one title sponsor just isn't the way it's going to be done anymore. Look, folks, remember, we are in a post-tobacco supporting world. The RJ Reynolds Company, they had just that much extra cash to throw to everything, and they threw it. And now you have companies, they do have that extra cash, but we live in a world where marketing is more diverse, frankly, than it ever has been.
Just to end the show on kind of a light note, what do you think about Double O's thinking of a new title sponsor? Think we could go that route? I know this is a family show. We should probably change subject. I'm sorry.
Always
I had to go there.
Always an interesting perspective on the Double O Blank show. And all I have to say is, if you back up your car that is a bracket car like you're in a fuel car, you best expect to get filmed like you're a top fuel driver.
Yes. And if you're Dallas Glenn, you're in the zone. You know what you're doing. You're a world champion, and
Didn't
you
even
don't
know I
complain.
was there.
Didn't you know he's there? That's why Dallas Glenn has won 3 races, three times this year, and 3 out of the last 4, because he's the man.
That's
Double
right.
O Dallas. Yes, sir. Yeah, Lee.
Anything else, Darren?
No, that's it for me.
That's it for you? Cool. That's it for me too. Folks, each and every one of you out there, thank you for coming along and chatting about drag racing and talking about drag racing with us. Thank you, TJ Zizzo, Tami Bandimere, and Justin Ashley. Thank you, Bobby Bennett, for the platform. This is CompetitionPlus.com, the place where you can read, the place where you can believe what you read on the internet. And hey, the guy next to me over there, that way, he writes a lot of it on the internet now. Darren, always good to have you on, and we definitely look forward to what we have in store for you all. I'm checking out. Good night to you all.
Thank you guys all for tuning in to episode 129 of the Competition Plus Power Hour. My boy Lee Crafty is gone, but also I believe this weekend, like you said, I wrote a lot of articles for Competition Plus. I'll be writing the article, the recap for the Funny Car Chaos Nitro Chaos doubleheader in Eddyville this upcoming weekend.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I thought you were gone. That's
right. Eddyville. Look, we are. Allow me.
You got it.
Allow me. Coming upon us this weekend is the greatest weekend in racing. It begins in Europe at Monaco. It rolls over to that famous race in the central part of the country, the Indianapolis 500, and it will end into the night with the Coca-Cola 600 with the stock cars. But if you are a drag racing fan, you can experience straight line motorsports. The PDRA will be in the house at Summit Motorsports Park there in Norwalk, Ohio, and the grandest event that Eddyville Raceway Park has ever experienced, a Chaos doubleheader with Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos, ripping it down the drag strip, hoping to miss out on eating the corn. Who will turn the win light on to the biggest chaos race of them all?
Badass.
I know.
I like it.
I'm out now.
All right. Good night, everybody.